Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Heart to Heart Connection Summit. I'm so grateful that you're joining us today. I am your host, Susan Peters, and today I am joined with my colleague, Angela Clement. Welcome, Angela.
Well, thank you, and thanks for having me.
I'm really glad you're here. I created this summit because I wanted to help others to be able to go deep into your heart so that when you come across loss in your life, you're able to dig deeper into your passion and into your purpose in life that will help you get through your loss and to discover that there are possibilities to have new dreams and to create new dreams for yourself and step forward in life. So, Angela and I have been on that journey. Angela has lost her husband, and so we connected because of that. And Angela is one of the 10 speakers that will be on my summit who actually lead from the heart and who have personally helped me on my journey to help me to grow and nurture me to love my heart more and to help others in a new way that I never would have thought of before. So I actually chose to marry my heart, and I'm writing a book about that. And Angela actually is writing a book too. So I find it fun that we're on this journey together, traveling some similar paths, along with what you do also as an energy healer and a creator of 4 different summits that were called Awaken Your Soul's Journey, with over 100 grief experts that helped all of us, including me, to be able to delve into grief a little more and find out that it's something that we can get through and we go through it together. She is also doing some podcasting now with some amazing guests. And I think it is so cool how much you are stepping forward in your new dreams, Angela. So, as I welcome you to share some of your story, can you please share with us some of the story of your loss and how that affected your heart?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and thank you for that wonderful introduction. I really appreciate it. I'm so grateful that we've been able to meet each other and walk this journey together. It's just made all the difference in the world having these kinds of connections. So thank you for this. And yeah, so I was a school principal. And my husband and I were poised to retire. He was a rancher. And in 2019, we sold the ranch. And in 2021, he was diagnosed with colon cancer. And it was just out of the blue. It wasn't like he was not feeling well for a long time. It was kind of like Christmas time. He wasn't feeling well. And by January, we had that diagnosis. And by October of 2021, he had passed away. So it was not sudden, but it was not a lot of time. And it just felt like the rug had been pulled out from underneath me. I had no idea where to turn. But I did turn to energy healing because it was something that I had an interest in from the time when my son was very young. And so I dived more deeply into that. And I think I had an intention to do that before, but this really drove my motivation to learn more about it, to help him, to help me. And so yeah, I got into that, and after he passed away, not knowing what I should do next, that seemed a natural fit. And so I did take an energy healing class, which ended me up to do all these these summits and interview all these experts, which was amazing because that information led me to be able to take my own grief certification and meet all kinds of new people and gain all kinds of wisdom. And what I seen was all of these people who had been through terrible grief and tragedy, and they had transformed their lives in some way, shape, or form. They had found a purpose. And so I started to realize that grief could really be a catalyst for growth and a spiritual awakening. And that's what I experienced myself. And so that's what my book is about. It's about that as well. So that's kind of my background. That's how I got going.
Yeah, you have an amazing story, especially how you recovered through things so quickly. I'm impressed with how much you were able to jump into and how many people you have already touched in your life. Um, I'm curious because you did talk about your ranch and the things that you have done before Blaine got sick. And so you had all these old dreams that came true and you lived them. But then you and Blaine had some new dreams that you were thinking of, but you did not get to finish those out with him. Just like my husband John and I, we planned on retiring and traveling and seeing our grandkids and everything. How do you see that transition from how were you able to go from the old dreams and then start creating the new dreams to help you? Did that give you like a new energy?
Yeah, so I think maybe where my mindset started to go forward was, first of all, realizing that looking back and trying to do, what we wanted to do just wasn't going to happen. It just, if I kept hanging on to the past, then I couldn't take that step forward. And so certainly I took some time and I really, took some time to heal my heart. And I think the energy healing really helped expedite that process. But then, yeah, I had to start thinking forward. And the cool thing is that I've been able to continue my relationship with Blaine as I step forward. And so I feel like I'm comforted and supported as I do this work that I do. I don't know if I've ever talked to you about this before, but Blaine and I had this when he was sick. We had this pact that when he got better, we were going to rent or get a motorhome and we were going to travel across Canada and we were going to help people. We were going to, tell them about energy healing and how that can help you. And I don't know, we just had this, he had this dream to travel across Canada and I had this dream that we could do it and help people at the same time. And then that didn't happen. But I almost feel like, even though we're not in a van and we're not traveling across Canada, that we truly are working together to help people, despite the fact that we can't do it the way we wanted to. And so I think it's that innate knowing that what I'm doing feels good. It feels like Blaine would be proud of me for doing this work. And it feels good to me because when I first lost Blaine, there wasn't a lot of information out there. I felt like the information that I did get wasn't for me. I needed something more. And so being able to offer all of this, these experts and interviewing them and offering them to people feels really good to me. It feels like I'm fulfilling my purpose.
I love that. That is such a neat way to look at it because so many people think when they lose their person that they're gone and they're not with them and then they get stuck in that. But I feel the same way as you. I feel that John is traveling with me on this journey and actually helping me to meet all the people that I have met that will be on this summit, including you, and brought us together because none of us have ever met in person, yet we're all connected in these new ways. And we're traveling the in a new way of traveling, like you said, too, to be able to touch people in ways that we never dreamed of. I'm curious because I felt like I lost my identity when John died, but now that I have been able to incorporate new dreaming into my life, I found a new identity. Do you find the same thing?
Yeah, and I think like you say, it's kind of shocking sometimes when I think about what I'm doing now. I would have never imagined myself doing this. And sometimes I even think about, my friends from Val Marie, like I don't see them as often anymore and I don't get to talk to them, but I often wonder what they think, because it seems like this huge transformation has taken place for me. And, I love who I am now. I loved who I was back then. It's just, it's not, you know, a consolation prize, like it's not, it feels good to do what I'm doing. Sure, I have moments where I really miss Blaine and I really miss that life that I had. But my life is not, it doesn't feel like it's clouded with sadness or sorrow. It feels like, I'm building something new. I'm stepping into something new. And I think this is possible for anyone. It's not easy, but it's absolutely possible.
Yeah, I have to agree with you too that it's like you step into this whole new zone, but it feels good to be able to still have that purpose and passion and utilize what we have learned from our loss to be able to utilize it in new ways and create new ways of looking at things so that people can connect with that more in a deeper way so that we don't fear grief and death as much as embrace it maybe. And I even find I have gratitude for John sometime, because now that I've lost him, I've able to see the world in a new way that I never did before. I have all new perspectives. um do you feel that when we start, when our hearts open like that so deeply from the loss that is so deep of a loved one that we love so much, that it actually sparks something deeper inside of us that's in our hearts, that somehow opens up when we get to that point that we never really knew was there, but it was there all along, and somehow it springs up in a new way. Do you find that?
Yeah, I absolutely do. I think, well, the first thing that I had to do was be able to open my heart because it seemed like I was hurt so badly that I really just pulled in and closed everything down. And I think that's a natural response. And what the energy healers were telling me is, you need to open your heart. You need to open your heart, even though it doesn't, it feels like you should just, cower under something because it's so much pain and you should just protect yourself. It's actually opening your heart and opening yourself to that possibility and wonder and allowing that grief to come in, because I think that's, you mentioned embracing grief, and I'm all about that. That's I'm all about people understanding that grief is our way to heal. And so, and because it comes with all of these really strong emotions, we tend to want to push it away. We want to avoid it because, well, for good reason. I mean, nobody wants to go through that dark night of the soul. There were some awful moments. It was hard, and I needed a lot of support to help me through that. But once you can realize that as you go through those waves of emotion and you allow that to come through you and you open your heart and you embrace what is coming, then it goes through you, it flows through you, and it's not something you're resisting and fighting and because that's tiring.
Yeah.
And allowing it to happen is very freeing, right? And so it's the way that we've been, I think it's the way we've been brought up. We haven't understood grief and the process of emotions and the process of allowing emotions. We're always told we shouldn't cry and be strong and all of that kind of stuff, and that's really the opposite of what you need to do to heal. And so, yeah, opening your heart and just opening up to possibilities is really a big step and the first step in the process of healing, I think.
Yeah, I like that you said that, opening to the possibilities, because it can be so closing, being in grief and you don't want to face what's next, but it's the possibility that keeps kind of pulling you a little bit forward. And I found that every time you take one step, then you feel like you accomplished something, and then you can take the next step, and that next possibility leads to another possibility and another possibility, which is then how you can start creating dreams again in your life, because it gives you something to look forward to, something purposeful, I guess, because none of us want to sit without a purpose in our life. And if we have something driving us, that just helps us to pull us out of those depths, I think, of sadness. You also mentioned that you had to work with people because it was something that was challenging to do alone. So I would like you to share a little bit about what you feel is the power of connection and collaboration and helping people to move through loss.
Hmm. So in helping myself and just looking towards something that I might want to do, like the energy healing itself, taking that step into it and knowing that it's really hard to do that sometimes, but to just take the step and try it. I just kind of signed up for this energy healing class. Did I know I would make it through there? Not really, but I think you just got to kind of take that chance. And I think we all know intuitively inside, if we really look and take time to investigate what's going on inside, there is something that drives us. There's a spark or a fire. And I think everyone has that. It's just to get someone to help you find it. And so meeting people, and meeting people with like minds and like experiences, and drawing those people towards me, and I didn't realize what I was doing. I knew that I was interviewing these experts and I was putting together this summit because this was what was part of the class. And so I was going through the motions, but I had no idea that I was, first of all, bringing all this wisdom to me and then sharing it out to others. And at the same time, building a community of support around me, because in the end, we're all in this together. It's not something that you do alone. It's not like, I'm doing these amazing things and that's all fulfilling. It's not really like that. It's like you are sharing with others your heart, you're being vulnerable, and reciprocity, these people are coming back and they're sharing their heart. And suddenly you've built this support system around you. And it's really a beautiful thing. It really, really is. I can't say enough about the universe, because I would say that, this is not something you do alone. This is something you co-create with your guides, with your helpers, with the people around you. So it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, that is so beautiful how you just shared all of that. I love it. I also want to share, because I forgot to share earlier, that you are a certified grief coach. And I love that it says on your website, let's see, it says that you work one-on-one and in group settings to reconnect people with their authentic selves after loss. And I love that line, that authentic selves, because that's something that I don't even know that I knew when John was still alive. I don't know that I ever really knew my authentic self. But through his death, it led me to find my authentic self. And I know through you being a grief coach, whether one-on-one, which I have sat with you in one-on-one sessions, which are wonderful. You have helped me just to talk things out and share things and realize that what we have in common and how we're not alone in all of this. And I've also been in your group settings, which are beautiful too, where people share their hearts in so many different ways through their loss. But I love how you bring the authenticity out in people by creating a sacred space. Would you like to share anything about that?
Yeah, well, I think the problem is that sometimes people think they're not worthy, or sure, that's okay for you. You got through that and I could never do that, right? There's this mind thing that gets in the way. It's like that unworthiness or inadequacy that kind of filters what we what our potential is, right? And so what I really like about meeting with people is being able to mirror for them what I see, that there is a spark of amazing, well, everyone is a spark of the divine, right? We all have very special gifts to share in this world, whether we know that or not. It's absolutely true. And so being able to work with people one-on-one and start to help them discover what that is, what that special gift is that they can share with others. And it doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be a summit. It can just be the fact that you're sharing your story with others, or you're getting out in the community and you're helping, or it could be anything, because we all have a gift to share and none of them are less valuable than another. It's just what we do. And so yeah, having the grief certification course for sure, having the background, because I went through that course and then I took the certification for it. So having that background and understanding the building blocks of healing from grief, but then also finding that divine spark within each of those souls and helping them find their way and their path and their purpose, because that's really where the excitement and the possibilities come from, is that divine spark from within that needs to be ignited.
Yeah, you said that so beautifully, because it's like, it is so wonderful to see people who are in the depths of grief to start blossoming. It's almost like we get buried, like our loved one, but then, like your beautiful flowers that you have next to you, we can start growing again with support from each other, and with support from angels and our guides to help us to find that there is a new life that we can blossom into. And then we actually change, I think, kind of who we are. It's not just our identity, but we become more beautiful in a lot of ways, because it's like we're allowed to grow into this new expression. And I do really love how you help people to do that, because I've seen it happen over and over. And I am so grateful to connect to all the beautiful people in your group too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just seeing how they change, and become a support to each other, which
Yes.
is totally amazing as well, right? We all have these gifts to share with each other. And it's not me, and this, we get into the group and it's just like we have a conversation, and the things that come up are the things that need to come up, and the things that need to be said are the things that need to be said. And it's very natural, and holding the space, the energy space to allow that to happen is, amazing. It is just an amazing experience for me, and I think for everyone else too.
Yeah, it really is. It's allowing each person to be who they are, to be their real selves, and it's a beautiful thing to see people's real hearts blossoming and coming forward. Speaking of hearts, I'm just really curious, because since I created a dream to marry my heart, and took myself on a new journey to create the ceremony and take myself on a heart honeymoon. And in that respect, I was able to start sharing my story with other people. And that's what led me to want to share my story in a book form. And so I just am curious as to what you might have thought the first time I told you I married my heart, and how that affected you, and what you think of the process of it, and helping to see how our dream can go forward.
Yeah, well, I love your story. And the reason why I love it is because I think, and one of the things we haven't really talked about here, is that whole love for self, that real pure love for and compassion for our own authentic true selves, and being able to have forgiveness for ourselves, to be able to have compassion for ourselves and love for ourselves. Then you're in this space where you've got your back, that you can support you got you, right? And so then it just changes the whole mindset, because you're not seeking things from outside to try to fulfill something that you feel is you are missing. You are complete and whole already the way you are. And so marrying your heart is just a beautiful it's like a ceremony that just confirms that you are dedicated, that you truly have this commitment to yourself, that you're going to look after you, that you've got your back, that you're going to be there for you. And I just love it. I love the whole process of it. And yeah, I think it's beautiful that you came up with that. I think it's amazing.
Well, I'm so grateful that everybody that's been on my journey are the ones that helped me to learn how to love myself. And I never really felt like I loved myself 100% before. And I almost wish I would have loved myself 100% when John was still here. I think our relationship would have been even better.
Yes.
But now I've learned that, and now if I can love myself 100%, I have felt that that overflows into loving everybody else the same way. And it's just a whole new way for me to look at it. And I've already just been so touched by when I share my story, how it affects other people, because then they share their story. And this we in our vulnerability, we like move ourselves up a level, and we realize that we are such real beautiful people, and that we have a lot to give and a lot to offer, and that we are each a beautiful expression of love. And that's what I think I have found through that. And it's been a really, really cool journey to be on.
Yeah. And it's amazing, amazing process. And to have that tangible process that you've kind of outlined, for people, because you can say, well, you need to love yourself, but what does that really mean? And what am I really committing to? Like you say, I'm the same way. Had I really understood and loved myself the way I do now, what my life would have been like back then, I sometimes think about that, how much different would it have been? I wouldn't have, when I made a mistake, I would have looked at myself with compassion instead of, being all upset about the fact that, I messed something up. Well, we don't do that on purpose, it's like, but, we're hard on ourselves. We have a lot of judgment. And when you flip that coin and you start to look at yourself like you would a young child and saying, it's okay, I've got you, I'm looking after you. It's a whole different, it's a whole different life. It's a whole different feeling of comfort that you get from that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I feel like it can apply to anybody. It's not just somebody who lost somebody. There we have so many losses that we each go through in our lives in so many ways. And we, like you said, we need to have compassion on ourselves, and have that deeper love that goes beyond what the world thinks and says, and feel that surety inside of ourselves, so that we can face pretty much anything, and we can create new dreams to step forward and make a better world for each of us. It's not only our world that gets better when we choose to love ourselves, the whole world can get better. And that would be something that I would be hoping to be able to share through this story that we're sharing, and through this summit that we're sharing, is that loss doesn't define us at all, and that there's so much more that we can step into, after loss of any kind, and do it with love, with deep love for yourself. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
well, I'm just having a great time talking with you today, but I know it's going to be that time. And I'm wondering, you do have a gift for our listeners, right? So I was wondering what that might be.
Sure. Yeah, I can share on my website. I have several different things. There's some meditations there, and there's some, if people want to email me, I can offer a free ebook that they can. Actually, there's a couple of them that I can share with them, and yeah, for sure,
Great.
we can make
Yeah.
that happen. I'll get you a link that you can put. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I'll put we'll make sure that we put a space in there, where they can sign up under your name and your video, so that they can sign
Mhm.
up and get their free gift by giving, just by putting in your email.
Yeah.
And what is the best way to get a hold of you if they would like to look you up online?
Yeah. So if you go to my website, everything is there at www.healingenergy.world.
Okay, great. And we'll put that up on the website too. So
Mhm.
have the link to catch people to you because you're a really wonderful person to share the journey with. And thank you so much for sharing your time and your energy with us today. You have a beautiful soul, Angela, and I thank you for being a part of my journey. I am so grateful to have come to know you and to continue to walk with you. And I would like to thank all of our listeners today. Thank you for joining us. We are grateful that you are here, and please join us in our next conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.